Will the church survive this economy and beyond? Stay tuned and find out now. Please follow our interactive conversation on Twitter by following @SolutionsTV and the hashtag at the top of the screen. Get your pen, get your paper, get your tablet, call a friend or colleague to join you. The journey to economic dignity and solutions begins now. We'll be right back. Welcome to Solutions, the definitive source for vetted economic dignity, knowledge, and access. Our collaborative journey towards our definitive purpose begins right now. I want to encourage you today and speak prophetically into your life that this painful and necessary shift and intentional change in our lives, families, communities, government, business, and churches will be counted toward our manifest destiny. Let's embrace it, learn it, live it, and give it. Be open-minded, complete your due diligence, take action, get results. Today's conversation is entitled Occupy the Church, Repositioning for Excellence and Compliance. Let me quickly frame our conversation. In Luke 19:13, Christ directs us to occupy until I come. Occupy means to reside or have one's place of business in a body, a home, a building, a structure, an industry. To fill or take up space, time, or consciousness. To do business. Across America and around the world, people are occupying space, time, and opportunity. From Occupy Wall Street to Occupy Libya, people are declaring their voice and right to occupy. Even now, the kingdom of God is engaged in the occupation of the church. Hear ye the word of the Lord. You can follow this conversation and interact with us via Twitter, Facebook, eFactor, and LinkedIn. Share your thoughts by following @SolutionsTV or using the hashtag OccupyTheChurch at the top of the screen. Joining me today from downtown Atlanta's 200 office, a premier business lounge and accelerator for startups at 200 Peachtree, is Mr. Henry Hardin. Henry is the CEO of SCI Companies, expertise with executive, consultative, high-level human resource issues. Also joining me is Mrs. Greta Carnes, who's the Director of Atlanta Operations for SCI. Her expertise is in strategic HR consultant. Also joining us is attorney Tacita Michael Scott, who's the founder and chief executive officer of Keystone Legal. Expertise, religious and corporate law. Also joining me is Mr. Michael Rabarski, who's a partner in Stone Brown Financial and author of Startup Smarts. His expertise is in property and casualty insurance, corporate reinventions, and startups. Also joining us is Bishop Edwards Stevens, who's the regional bishop for the Full Gospel Baptist Church Fellowship International, senior pastor of Golden Gate Cathedral, founder of the Star Academy Charter School. His expertise is in leadership development, ministry building, organizational management, and business. Welcome to all of you to Solutions.
Thank you. Very good to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to jump right in this conversation, Bishop Stevens. The church has existed for centuries, of course, and has continued to evolve to address humanity's needs. My question for you is, how important is a pastor or leader's mindset when repositioning their church or ministry to effectively engage our culture today?
I think it's critically important because as the leader, you set the tone for the entire congregation. A lot of pastors, unfortunately, have not branched out and they are not aware of modern technology. And even the Bible tells us we are the head and not the tail. That's right. And so we ought to be leading the pace. And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of ministries are kind of missing opportunities that God has placed before them. And when the congregants go up, everybody goes up. The congregation goes up, the community goes up. So that's a critical piece for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we have some solutions we're talking about today for those churches that are in that transitional period and they're struggling. Henry, you manage an end-to-end human resources organization, work with organizations of all types of sizes. Match the mindset with the systems for creating people-driven organizations.
Ooh, that's always been a great thing. It gets back to what the bishop said. It's all about leadership. So the mindset is all about change. There is a big paradigm shift going out in the marketplace. So you have to then the leadership needs to install systems to support that change. And if you don't have systems that start at the bottom of the organization and go throughout the organization, you will not affect change. So it gives it the tools that the entity needs to create that change for the leadership.
That's very, very powerful. Real quickly, what is a system?
We can go all day with that. To me, it's how something works. If you look at it, it's the structure of how things work. So if you look from a system, one end to the other, you're looking from its beginning to its end product. So it's what we say from the creation of wealth or value to really discerning and seeing that value. So a system is everything that's involved in that creation, kind of like God.
There you go. And I was thinking that as you were saying it, when you look at the creator of the universe, he employed systems so that the universe operates without him having to attend to it. It's an ever-expanding universe.
Oh, yes. But they have to be in balance. And that's what's key here. And that's what's key to today's subject is how do we realign and get everything back in balance?
Very, very, very good. Very good. Each of you, I want you to take a minute and give me the most critical thing in terms of repositioning churches or any organization for that matter. Tacita, we'll start with you.
Okay, you asked for the most, but I'm going to give two. And specifically with respect to the church, we've heard a lot about the shifting paradigm. And I think that first, you must start with prayer, fasting, and Bible study for your church to understand what is God's vision for your church. And when you talk about repositioning, when you talk about changing the paradigm, you have to have leadership that has the understanding and the appreciation of his or her limitations, as well as the limitations of the congregation. I believe that God has definitely gifted all of us with things that we do very well, but none of us do all things very well. And so I believe that the church needs to make sure that it's aligning itself with the right professionals, the right legal team, the right HR team, the right financial team in order to do their job, and to understand that sometimes those team members are not in your church. For example, your deacon who does criminal law, that's what your deacon is good at. Your deacon will not be good at doing employment law or securities law, and you may have to go outside of your congregation in order to get the professionals to help you to reposition. Very, very good. Michael, repositioning.
I think one of the things that touches on what the bishop said and what Henry said is that the world is changing. It's not just changing for churches. I deal with a lot of venture capital firms and a lot of startups. Every day they're going through the same issue you're bringing to the church. It says, wow, our world's changing. Guess what? It's changing in every business, in every industry we deal with.
It's like constant disruption.
Absolutely. And so what I would suggest is there are solutions people have been developing in other industries and other tools that have been refined and perfected that you can start bringing into the church groups, and all of a sudden you're going to be able to benefit from ways of dealing with that change that somebody else has spent years developing. And I think you don't have to feel as a pastor or a bishop that you have to invent this yourself. There are ways working as a large group where this can come together, and I think making sure you avail yourself of the tools that are available is key.
Very, very good. Thank you. Thank you. Greta, repositioning.
I think repositioning all starts with leveraging the talents that you have within your congregation and within your leadership. Those talents that are core to them, But then again, once again, going outside, because a lot of those talents are not core to them, such as HR, leveraging, understanding what's compelling in today's economy and the laws that impact on a daily basis. So I think that repositioning is all about leveraging talents and creating synergies with other organizations that have those talents so that the end result is the best result. Really positioning your church, your organization for the absolute best results. And a lot of times that means you have to create synergies amongst the groups rather just looking at one particular group as having all the answers. Because they don't. Once again, not everybody has all the talents within their own individual groups.
Very good, very good. Bishop, repositioning.
Hey, absolutely. I think everybody's on point. I'd like to say to the pastors who are perhaps watching, one of the challenges that I find as I move throughout my particular region as a bishop is the lack of knowledge and information that pastors have. Now, some pastors are fortunate to have people with degrees and certain expertise, but the average church is only 75 to 100 people. And the smaller the membership based on where the church is located, the less skills per se that's needed to shift this ministry to another level are in operation or in place. And so a pastor will assume that there's just nothing I can do. I've always placed myself in arenas where people were doing more than I was doing, because that's the only way you can really move to another level. You cannot be intimidated by those who have been blessed and have certain skills. You have to let your pride go, pick up the phone. Now, not everybody may be open, but at some point, I just think those are key elements, and I see that happening every day. Churches just rather stay where they are rather than move outside of where they are to do it.
Well, we push past our comfort zones, we push past our insecurities, and we all have them in some respective area, and we push past our egos. And once we push past that, what I'm hearing is that's what allows us to be repositioned, where we even meet people that are outside of our respective networks. And the Bible instructs us to go ye into all the world. We've created these insulated, isolated mini kingdoms. And I often say, would you like your kingdom to fall and fail? Because all kingdoms do fail at some point except the kingdom. That's very key. So great. That was an excellent, excellent answer. Greta, what are the non-negotiables for churches in terms of managing the people, the human capital that they have? Even if they're small churches, Bishop talked about, 75 to 100 members, maybe 3, 4, 5 full-time people on staff. What are the non-negotiables?
Well, I think the basic non-negotiables are knowing both the strengths and the evolving strengths of those individuals, so that you leverage their talents wisely. And then when you realize that they don't have all the knowledge, skill, and ability that you need, you are not afraid to go outside and seek assistance to bring that in so that you have all of that information. The way the legislations are out there and unemployment law is consistently changing, no one has the expertise to know everything. And that's, if you are depending upon a group of 4 or 5 people to do everything for you, then you are limiting your ability to grow and move in today's economy.